Good morning and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace. I'm here to fight CPS, and I want to give you a warm welcome because you found the right place. You found me on Facebook fighting CPS, and I'm broadcasting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week, at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, and then at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 1 hour each. Now, on Sundays, I come on at 8 o'clock. I go to church, so I have my podcast a couple hours early. So on Sunday, it's 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Also, this Friday, Friday Night Lights. I have a high school football game that I'll be at. So I will be doing my show at 4 o'clock on Friday, October the 4th. And I really want you to keep those times in mind. And I hope you can visit my 14 shows. I've been doing this since October 2023. I've talked to over 500 some people, either through phone calls or texting. And I've actually, we are broadcasting around the world. There are approximately 14 countries that have texted messages about CPS. So I'm open to CPS, not only in the United States, but around the world. If you have a question, I'll help you. And so um, I really feel saddened that you're burdened with the task of fighting CPS. Now, CPS, I hate to say it, has been corrupt, and it has gone rogue. I don't know how else to explain to you. I don't want to put down CPS because we do need our children protected. Now, what is CPS to me? It's the Child Protection System. What it is, it's the agency, part of social services. It's a branch that has social workers that specialize into investigation and protecting our children from neglect and abuse. Also supposed to help out families in need. They run across a family that's struggling, supposed to help them with food, shelter, clothing, education for the children, medical, and a job. That's another thing that a lot of times that CPS forgets about. Now it's called different names in different places, but I call it the Child Protection System, CPS. It's also when they break a family apart because of intimate danger or they take away your child because of intimate danger, they're supposed to put the family back together again, called family reunification. And that is the most important thing to do because studies have shown the best parents to raise children are the biological children. So um, it's really important aspect of what they're supposed to do. Now they've not been doing it lately. There's lots of reasons out there. People have been killed. There's a Congresswoman Nancy uh, Schaefer that was killed in Georgia State Senator, after her outspoken views about CPS and so forth. Anyway, there's another lady that's also been killed too, and so I know it's a serious matter out there. And if you are listening, CPS, you social workers, please call into the show. I'll talk to you. I've already had three of you talk to me on the show. Very professional, very friendly. I'm not saying all CPS is corrupt. I'm not saying all social workers are corrupt. But 99% of the people I talked to have reported their experiences with CPS. I too have been involved in CPS. I was unfortunately to get involved at my later years, at my age of 60, when allegations came in from a layperson that weren't true. And for 5 years, it escalated to where they finally made me go into my home and open it up. And there's a lot of things you have to be careful about, a lot of your civil rights and constitutional rights. CPS does not care. CPS does not care. So I'd like to um, welcome all my return viewers. One viewer seems to be expressing some trouble about listening. Excuse me, coming in. Um, I have a show producer, and I will tell her about that. So Uh, right with you there, Faye. Yeah, I was doing that. I slipped up today, and I'm sorry. I'll I think you put it in anyway. It's it was there. Let me see here. There, there we go. That's not what I'm talking about, Grace. What I'm talking about, and if you can hear me, is one of my regulars, Faye Manning, has tried for the last 2 days to text me comments, and I don't see her, and she seems to be blocked. She's not on my block list, but somehow she can't. She sent me copies of Messenger of the comments she's doing. Can you help me out by looking into that, Grace? Thank you. Okay, I was just talking to my show producer, and she works behind the scenes and helps me with issues that. Okay, um, so there are several ways to interact with this podcast. One way to interact with this podcast is to just be in this room. You found me. This is a great way to interact. You can take notes, listen, and hear what people have to say and what I talk about. Also, there's emojis you can use. Emojis like um, smiley faces, thumbs up, um, hearts. Also, you can send me stars. I love to see lots of stars. So send me stars. And then further, if you want to subscribe to this podcast, please check below. And then also, if you want to be notified of when I'm on, please check below. Now, if you decide that you want to um, do something more, a second way is to type me a comment uh, or a question about CPS, about your case, or some type of comment. We want to stick with the theme of CPS, Child Protection System. And please show your name. All you have to see is your first name, the city or county that your case is in, the state, and if you're from another country, your city and country, and be complete with your uh, CPS case. Try to tell me as much as you can how it got started, what the makeup of your family is, the ages and sex of your children, uh, the allegations, why they were taken, and then, of course, how were they taken? Were they taken? And then where you at on your case? So that's being complete. Now, the third way is very important. I've already mentioned my show producer, it's Grace. She works hard behind the scenes. And if you want to schedule to be a guest, I'd love to have you. I can take up to 9 guests on my podcast. That means I have 9 separate windows, me making 10. We all be sitting on here talking and helping one another, helping others there as listening to be a guest on my show. I've had as many as 4, and so I warmly welcome anybody that'd like to be a guest on my show. All you have to do is email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace at vincentwdavis.com. And you just say, I want to be on Bob's morning show on Saturday, or Bob's Friday evening show, or Bob's Wednesday morning show, or Monday evening show. You just pick one of the 14 shows to be on, and it's at grace at vincentwdavis.com. Now, when she gets your email, she'll give you a link. Don't lose that link. That's the link to get on. And if you get knocked off, use that link again. It's still good during that show. And then she'll tell you what you can do and not do, like no eating or smoking. Also, we don't use the names of children, judges, or social workers when uh, we're talking about them. And she'll tell you other things, how to adjust your lighting and sound. It's important you have a computer to use it. If not, a phone's okay. So that's the third way. The fourth way, of course, is my number. I'm going to put my number up now, become live. My call-in number is 626-698-0990. That's 626-698-0990. That takes you right to my office phone. We use Vonage as the phone application. So my phone will ring and I'll let you talk on speakerphone. Make sure your background sounds are turned down and that your mic on your phone is turned up so we can hear you. And you can talk about your case similar to when you're texting, showing your name and your city or county or state or city and country or what was your case about. So if you call before my show hours, after my show hours, I can't answer the phone. So only call me during my showtime hours. And so now the room is open in many directions that we can go. I could talk further about my case with CPS, or I could talk to you about the types of social workers you're going to encounter, or how difficult the CPS is, or foster care, those kinds of things. I also have about 75 topics I can talk about. They have tabs open up that we can talk about, like ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978, or the 388 motion, or the JV 160 motion, or how to do a complaint against judges or lawyers, or even against the CPS, how you can do it at the local level, state level, and federal level. And so there are lots of discussions I can talk about here.
Hello?
Good morning, Faye. I'm live and you're on my show.
Yeah.
I warmly welcome. I have Faye right now for all you listeners. She's from Richmond, Kentucky. And are you on the podcast, Faye? Is your name there?
I don't know. I have to look.
Are you making comments? I've asked Grace to help me with why you cannot show, why your name's not showed, and why your comments are not showed. And she's
Oh,
working on that. So hopefully she's working on it. Anyway, this morning I have Faye, who's been a long time supporter of my show. She's an advocate in Richmond, Kentucky. She's a single mother. She had two children. She grew up in foster care as a small child and a teenager, in and out 5 different times. And was fortunate to have children, but very unfortunate when the agency made her decide which child to keep through no fault of her own. And so she has a special needs son who is in his 20s and is she's trying to get custodianship of her son because he needs special help. Now her daughter that she lost at an early age before she got a chance to really she was with her daughter in the very beginning, but it was taken at an early age. And again, she's got her case open after 13 years, so never give up. She's trying to help her family. What would you like to talk about this morning, Faye? Faye,
yeah.
what would you like to talk about?
Um, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it, Bob. Sorry.
That's all right. Faye always has good subjects and stuff, and I think this morning, since we have one person in the room, I assume that's you, Faye. I don't see your name, um, and if you are texting in, somehow you're blocked, and I have no idea why you're blocked.
I commented hello in chat. I can see it, but I don't know if anybody else can.
No, and I'm sure that Grace can hear you, and so she's left and gone elsewhere. So
Yeah.
and she didn't answer me, and so maybe she's trying to talk. Anyway, for all you listeners, I have two now, and somehow I'm not seeing the comments in. If you guys are texting a comment in, I have two people in my room, but I don't see any comments. I know Faye's on the phone, and what we can do is talk about some cases you brought up. We were talking about Nancy Schuler. Um,
Schaefer.
excuse me, Nancy Schaefer. I'm bad with names at times. And Nancy Schaefer was an advocate. She was a Georgia senator, and she was an advocate against CPS. She wanted to shut it down and rebuild it all. And she was murdered. And um, there's another lady that, well, I was reading about. Let me pull up what you had sent me so I can finish the story about her. Let me get
Yeah.
to.
It's kind of ironic that they both were advocates against the agencies called CPS and family courts, and both of them died very similar, not long after they did
Yeah,
reports about it.
yeah. Okay, let me go back to the Nancy Schaefer article. Um, this was written by Brian Shelley, and he's with the Health Impact News. And he said that Georgia Senator Nancy Schaefer may have known more about the safe, the state-sponsored kidnappings than any other politician in the United States before she was murdered in March of 2010. Her published report, The Corrupt Business of Child Protection Service, have been the basis for many lectures and interviews she gave on the topic. She claims the report caused her to lose her Senate seat in the Georgia State Senate. However, there are causes worth losing over. This cause was so big, however, that I have uh, that here are some who believed she lost her name and then lost her job, lost more than her job. They believe she also lost her very life. On March 26, 2010, police from Hamilton County, Georgia, uh, reported that they had found Nancy Schaefer and her husband Bruce Schaefer dead in the home. The official report was that it was a murder suicide and that Bruce Schaefer had killed the wife and then turned the 30 caliber handgun on himself. Their daughter reported found them in their bedroom. Investigators said they discovered a suicide note as well as notes to each of the couple's five children. However, many have questioned the official police report. Mark Davis of the Alabama Journal Constitution published an article on April 4th titled, Who Really Took Two Lives in the Schaefer Case? Some experts from Mark Davis, here is the article. And yet people talk. They talk about a twosome that was rarely apart. They talk about a woman who achieved renown for her unapologetic stance against abortion and overzealous child protection services. You have found that the child protection services overzealous on false cases. They spend more time than saving the real children that need it. You hardly ever saw one without the other, said Robert Buster Smith, whom Bruce often visited when Nancy came to town from their Clarksville home to get her hair done. A Tacoma native, Smith saw Bruce Schaefer on the last Tuesday of his life when he stopped by Smith's furniture store. He seemed like his old self, said Smith. I have a hard time believing it happened like it happened. Nancy Schaefer was a former officer of the Georgia Baptist Convention, and the Baptist press also ran a piece on the murder. They also raised the question on whether the police report was accurate. At least one friend of the Schaefers has questioned the murder suicide theory. Garland uh, Fedrita, founder of the Voters Against for Trusted Election Results in Georgia, uh, circulated a 11.2-page bulletin via the internet stating it was more than obvious that the case is a murder made to look like the suicide. Favorites cited the Christian faith and pro-life beliefs of Nancy Schaefer um, had been delivering into allegation corruptions in family and child service agencies. And here's what the bulletin said. Although off topic, I felt led to do more update on the Schaefer's family with some new information. I want to particularly thank the progressive and Democrats who responded with encouragement to my previous article by recognizing that the child abuse and trafficking against which Senator Schaefer fought for the last 2 years of her life is a nonpartisan issue that transcends political party boundaries. On Wednesday, March 3rd, over 1,000 people flocked to Evers Baptist Church in Tacoma, Georgia to pay last respect to the former state senator. Nancy Schaefer and her husband Bruce. Pastor Andy Childs focus on the forgiveness of sins and external life available to all mankind through Jesus Christ. He felt he would have wanted it that the pastor Childs also mentioned that he researched Nancy Schaefer's efforts in child protection services, which I believe eventually became her legacy and greatest work. Many people in line and or the service who knew Bruce Bear Schaefer were still consumed with doubt that he would do something to uh, in characteristics as to kill his wife and himself. More coming to light about the couple's financial troubles that may have led to the tragic but serious points have fostered doubts. The Schaefers were receiving death threats they had accelerated. There was no indication that Bruce Schaefer of him being under any kind of stress that would cause him to commit such a characteristic act right up to the eve of their death. Nancy Schaefer was completing a video exploring the lack of oversight in Georgia's Department of Family and Child Services, as well as the Child Protection Services nationally. I spoke at some length with the video produced William Way for both he and other friends of the family collaborated that Bruce had complained of investment issues and that they had just received a foreclosure notice on the magnificent home they owned. They had put their home up for sale a couple months earlier, but had been unable to sell it. Another property in such uh, a down market. Still, many of the couple's friends questioned whether their financial condition was really severe enough to warrant such a uncharacteristic drastic uh, act on burning psychological question remains as such. Why would Bruce decide to kill himself and his wife because he received a foreclosure notice on a home that they had already decided to sell by months earlier? Why would Bruce consider the couple's financial situation so severe when their assets still appeared to exceed their security property debt by several $100,000? If Bruce was under financial stress, why did he not show any signs of it, including the eve of the couple's death? If Bruce was under financial stress, why wouldn't he send help uh, uh, from any or all the five grown children who loved him and would have wanted to help? Why would Bruce decide to deprive both he and Nancy of seeing the grandchildren who they loved so much grow up? Why would Bruce knowingly take a drastic action that would devastate the children and grandchildren who love him so much? Why would Bruce, who's so highly supportive of Nancy's efforts for decades, including her CPS and DCS work, decide to kill her just at the peak of one of her most important works? Why would Bruce commit such an act that was against his faith and completely and all characteristic for him, according to those who knew him uh, best? Why would Bruce jeopardize any chance of family collecting life insurance benefits by committing suicide and killing his wife? Um, that's about the Nancy Schaefer's case. It's told by several people. A lot of questions have risen, and it's sad because it's happening to a lot of people. Now, there was another person that Faye gave me, um, and this is about a girl named Amanda, and she was murdered, Amanda Ross, and in December 17, 2020, uh, and December 1st. In 2007, Amanda Ross began dating Steve Nunn. The next year, they moved in together, and by December 2008, she asked Nunn to move out due to domestic violence issues. In 2009, Nunn murdered Amanda outside of her residence despite a domestic violence order he'd been served with, and the fact that years earlier, when Nunn was Kentucky's lawmaker, he successfully co-sponsored a bill making murder while a domestic violence order was in place a capital offense. Um, Retired Lexington, Kentucky police sergeant told uh, Liddings details how the case against Nunn was developed with all the challenges of a high-profile case.
Hey, Mama.
Though the case has been the subject of national broadcast television shows and news articles, none of those offer the nitty gritty that is a homicide investigation. And if you believe you've been a victim of domestic or personal violence, help is available. Contact your local police or sheriff's department or the National Domestic Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. You can also access the secure web portal located at https:/// www.thehotline.org/. In the wake of the senseless and horrific deed, Fayette County Sheriff Kathy Witt worked with Amanda's family and established Amanda's Center in Lexington, where Amanda lives, who was murdered, as found at Sheriff Witt's Domestic Violence Division website. Now, he wrote here at his website, whose life was tragically cut short by the act of domestic violence. Amanda was a tireless crusader for uh, victims'
Oh,
rights and wanted nothing more than to use her life to help others in their time of need. In this spirit, Amanda, family, and friends have partnered with the Office of the Fayette County Sheriff to create a place that acts both a safe place and a guide those dealing with domestic violence. So uh, that was a very horrific crime domestic violence can do.
well, the whole reason for sending that was is because she in particular was also an advocate against the corruption that was going on inside of Kentucky CPS agencies.
Okay, okay,
And she had, talked openly about it and had written, you know, reports on it and so on and so forth. And, same exact thing happened to her.
Yeah.
For speaking out about it.
Yeah. But anyway, that is really enlightening, Faye. Again, I have two people in my room. I see no comments. I know that Natalie had made a comment the last time she was on, so maybe one of them is you, and then the other person is popping in and out, not making comments. But that is pretty overwhelming for all your listeners to know that CPS is a bad agency you're working with. Now, I can show you what worked with me, but I can't guarantee you get your child back. I can't make promises that you can get your child back by following what they ask you to do. That's something you got to make your decision, and hopefully you have an attorney. Because I do need to talk about my rule number one. It's very important that you have an attorney in fighting your case. Now, I have an attorney. His name is Vincent W. Davis that produces this podcast. His law firm is Vincent W. Davis and Associates. It's a law firm of numerous attorneys that deal with all aspects of law: criminal law, divorce law, real estate, workplace, um, the immigration, and of course the dependency. Now, dependency uh, law is what you're in. It's family juvenile dependency law. That's the kind of attorney you need. And you're probably asking, why do you need an attorney? Well, if you know anything about open heart surgery, you definitely get a doctor to do open heart surgery. That's how bad CPS is. You need someone that can navigate, that can fight for you. And Mr. Davis is one of those individuals. He has 35 years of practicing law in in uh, in fighting CPS. He will fight CPS. He will get your children. He has cases in Northern California, San Bernardino, even in states like Oklahoma. He'll go out of the state to practice and help you. Um, he's in Arcadia, which is in Southern California. I'm broadcasting from Surf City, a mile up from the beach, outside. And he would love to talk to you. In fact, I'm able to negotiate a Zoom uh, meeting that you can um, be with him. Um, let me. It's a ticket that's running across the bottom of my screen. To book a Zoom a consultation with Mr. Davis for up to 30 minutes, it will only cost you $60. That was the fee I negotiated. But you have to do it online. You have to go to https:// candidly, CLENDLY.com/APPTSVWD/Bob Pace, BOBPACE. And he will talk to you for 30 minutes. You have nothing to lose. That $60 is a really good deal. And he's the best. He has fought CPS in civil lawsuits and won millions of dollars, both in state court and federal court. He's the real deal. He's a trial attorney, and he is a fighter. I hired him for my case, and he got back my two boys. So he is he's the real deal. I know from firsthand experience. Now, some of your question, I can't afford an attorney, and I know I couldn't afford one either. What I eventually had to do is I had to sell my home to get the money to hire him. And I'm not saying you need to do the same thing. That was a hard struggle for me because it took me 45 years to get that home. You see, I was involved in CPS at a later age, at the age of 60, which is late in your time to deal with CPS. Yes, I still had children young. I had a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. Still, I had 6 children, 3 older children. So, and I've been married twice, one for 10 years and one for 32 years. And I have a lot of experience about raising kids, about family. I had no problem with my three older children, but unfortunately, uh, the lay people that were calling in were actually my in-laws. I had no idea that they're doing so. I found that out later. But my wife's mother, her father, her three sisters, and her brother were calling in once a week for 5 years about something we weren't doing with their kids, like not feeding them, not clothing them, not taking them to school, no utilities. I lived in a multi-million-dollar home, very new, and about a mile from the beach. I had CCNRs, and I did even show them my home during their visits, which showed me I have food, and the home was organized. Each child had their own bedroom and bathroom. We had a full-on master bedroom, double door walk-in closets, a jacuzzi, and a toilet closet. And again, it was high vaulted ceilings. We had a living room and a formal dining room and a breakfast dining area, and then a kitchen with center console, and then a family room. Then we had a study and a downstairs guest bedroom, and we had a huge yard, a walk-in rock pool, an English garden on one side, a tropical garden in the back, and then a dog run for our Siberian Huskies. And it was close, a mile from the beach. You couldn't ask for a more beautiful place. CPS destroyed that for me. They destroyed my family. They actually kidnapped my daughter and trafficked her into foster care. And they took revenge on me and my wife because we're fighting to keep our family together. And what they did was abhorrible. If you think killing Nancy Schaefer or that other girl who did a lot for CPS, that is sad. That is sad. I agree. But the Orange County agency stole my daughter, trafficked my daughter, alienated my daughter to the point where the social worker retaliated because she was caught on the witness stand committing perjury. She lied under oath. The question was asked of her, and my wife's sister and husband were trying to adopt our daughter, a 12-year-old daughter. What kind of parents were they? Did they have any domestic violence? And she assured in the courtroom, the social worker, that no domestic violence. They were beautiful parents. Well, Vincent, my attorney that I had hired, pulled out his briefcase, a folder that was a half inch thick with reports of hard domestic violence at the residence of my wife's sister and husband, where they were physically abusive to each other, and more than one or two. There was over 30 reports. And Vincent asked the social worker about the report. She couldn't answer. She had a look on her face like she just died. She was so embarrassed in front of the court to perjure herself. She also opened herself up for a lawsuit. But what's so bad about that is that she told us parents that you're never going to see your daughter again. And she convinced our 12-year-old daughter, who didn't know very much, that was easy to be swayed, to uh, emancipate from the parents. See, at 12, you can emancipate from your parents. She divorced us, parents. She divorced her brothers. She divorced her grandparents. She divorced her aunts, her uncles, her cousins. She divorced us. And that's a horrible feeling. And she did that behind closed doors. We couldn't see her face. And she did all that with not owing up to anything. And then on top of that, she changed her name, her full name. She got rid of her middle name, her last name, and her first name. And then she sealed her birth certificate so that we weren't the parents anymore. And she got adopted by a foster care family where social workers gave her a new birth certificate. It is so corrupt what the social workers have done. They are so corrupt. And I'm angry about that. I have a right to be angry about that. Because our daughter is 22 right now. She was abused, by the way, uh, you know, a couple years later by the foster care parents. I don't know the details, but she left the foster care parents and she's living with our oldest daughter who has a family. And I'm happy for that. But our family is very estranged and broken apart, with my wife's mother and father doing what they did, and then our children believing what was going to say and everything else. I don't know how else to tell you, but it's a sad story to talk about it. It's a sad story to talk about it. Um, it seems like I get no more comments. I'm going to see maybe, uh, let's see if Natalie can. I don't know if Natalie can call in or not. I'm going to try. Faye, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Um,
Oh, yeah, hang up.
no, I'm going to. Well, I'm going to see what happens and see if I can. Okay. I'm going to call her. I forgot to plug in my computer, so. Hi, how you doing? Oh boy, my battery's running low, and I don't know why, but uh,
Well, I can hang up.
no, it's fine. I got it. I got my battery going. Got my battery going. Um,
Sorry.
that's okay. Anyway, that's enough about my story for all my listeners. Are you still in the room, Faye?
Yeah. Well, I think. I mean, look.
Yeah, because I see nobody in my room right now. So, and Faye has just, I mean, Grace has disappeared. So I don't know what's going on.
I'm gonna say hi. Do you see if you can see it?
No, I don't see it. Don't see your number there.
I don't know what's going on with it, and uh, is
I've
there anybody
asked.
else in the room?
No, there's no. It's zero showing. So I don't know if someone is orchestrating something. I don't know. I don't know.
Hi.
Well, I'm going to continue on. We have about.
Miss Debbie.
I'm sorry. What?
So, hold on a minute.
Okay. I'm going to talk about Core's Digest. There's a couple things in there that.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. Here's something from Cora. I don't like that one. Okay, here's one that might help you all listening. This is from Cora Digest, who asks us a lot of questions, and I have it geared to CPS. Um, the question is, if a father wants full custody of the child, but the mother has been taking care of their kid since birth, will he win in court? Unlikely, just because he wants something doesn't mean he gets it or should get it. The mother has raised and cared for the child. It isn't his child, but there's equally. At best, you might get shared custody. His notion of ripping a child from the mother and take her rights as a parent is likely to prevail. I wish CPS would not rip a child from your mother. Remember you, Faye, how your daughter was ripped from your heart First, courts are not interested in what, by evidence, is one parent trying to erase the other parent from the child life. That's called alienation, and parents do that all the time. So does the child protection system. The courts don't care what parent wants, they're looking for, and what is best for the child. The child has been taken care of since birth by the mother, so I'm guess not a hands-on father. That is striking against his idea. If I was going to guess it, I would guess he wants not to pay child support, is vindictive, wanting to erase the child's mother from the child's life and sees the child as a possession he doesn't want to share. The odds are against it. Let's see how good he does with shared custody, having the full obligation to provide day to day care for the child every other week. Does he cook for the child? Do the children's laundry? Is he providing hands on care for the child? Does he return the child with clean clothes? Or does he expect the mother to pick up the slack? I doubt he has a clue to what effort is involved with the day to day care of the child, since he's never done it. It's very doubtful he would get or share joint custody. Judges do not like one parent trying to wipe out the other parent out of the kid's life. Well, I hope that's true. I hope that's true. I hope that's true.
Yeah.
Now, here's another case here. What do we do if a child services, says CPS, receives a report that we leave my 3-year-old at home alone? This is not true. Our 16-year-old daughter does online school and babysits them every day. She does not go out unless it's an emergency. We come home at 7 p.m. Now, the answer is if CP receives a complaint or report which alleges that the parents leave their 3-year-old child at home alone, then I'd be expecting a phone call or an unannounced home visit by CPS within 24 hours or less. CPS will have to make a visual assessment of the child due to the child's age and the allegations. This visual assessment will take place immediately within 24 hours or less. CPS cannot enter your home without your permission. CPS cannot enter your home unless the homeowner is present at the time of visit. CPS will interview about the allegations as well as other adults or caregivers who live with the child. Anyone who may have information regarding the family or the allegations will be interviewed as possible witness. Examples of witness may include school personnel, siblings of the victim, family members, family friends, neighbors, landlord, employers. CPS will likely complete a home assessment. CPS will observe and assess the scene where the alleged improper supervision occurred, as well as objects alleged to have been involved. CPS will complete a criminal history check on you and other adults who are responsible for the children mentioned in the complaint. I'm also not solicitation legal advice. This is one of my vices only. You need to talk to your daughter. Make sure you and your daughter are both on the same page. This would be a good time to talk to her if she's ever left the house without the 3-year-old. And if where did she go? Who did she see? Possible witness. And for how long was she gone? Also, make sure that you have emergency contacts listed and posted somewhere in the house, refrigerator. Make sure your daughter has a way to call you in case of emergency. Make sure that your daughter knows what to do in case of emergency. Well, that was an interesting question and answer. What do you think, Faye? What do you think, Faye?
Yeah, it was a good answer.
Yeah, yeah. I always wonder about, family members being babysitters. What is the age limit that if a mother and father leaves can watch a baby or watch an infant or a child? Do you have an answer for that?
Different states have different age limits.
Oh, okay. Do you know what it is in Kentucky?
I think in Kentucky it's between 10 and 12.
10 and 12. So it's okay to
But it
have.
also, but they also state that it depends on the level of the maturity of the child.
Okay, because you can have a child that maybe doesn't lack maturity. You're right. Is that age?
A 10-year-old can babysit, but it depends on the level of maturity of that 10-year-old, and if their mind is capable of doing that. Some 10-year-olds aren't. They would just be like, whatever, leave the child in the house and go outside and play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It just depends. But there is no age limit in Kentucky on leaving a child alone, period.
You mean you could leave a child alone?
Yeah, there's no age limit. There's no set age limit for
Oh,
leaving a child alone.
okay.
Sorry about that. I'm outside.
That's okay. That's okay. Um,
Yeah.
this show's been strange this morning. I have 0 people in the room, and I don't know if people are being blocked to enter the room. Um, I don't see any comments this morning. I know you've told me you've been in the room. I did see a number show up that like you were there, but
Yeah.
I'm concerned. I am concerned
I don't know what's going on.
because it's been slowly happening for the last week. It seems like
I
getting
don't even
less and
see the
less
usual
people.
people that come on, like Christina Renoso, Crystal Salazar. I don't see any of the usual people that come on, or the one that always comments but never talks. This is William Hillier.
Yeah, she doesn't come in.
I don't see her anymore or nothing. I don't see any of the regular people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm all alone because my show producer is not present. She must have had something come up that took her away. Um,
Um, and then I can't comment because you say you don't see them, so I don't know.
you were in the room then. You've had posted comments. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely have to work on getting this room ship shape back in place. I have about 8 minutes left, or about 7 minutes left. Um, I guess I could take one more. Uh, I
Or are you
guess.
going to explain the rules or leave that out today?
Well, let me see. We've already talked about rule number one about getting an attorney, and I said that having a court-appointed attorney, which you may think is your answer, may be the only best thing you can do. A court appointed attorney will have a caseload of 30 or more clients. A court appointed attorney won't have the background of a dependency lawyer. They're a criminal attorney and they're just starting out. Also, a court appointed attorney is not going to fight for the case, they're looking for the easiest way out. Also, the court appointed attorneys are friends with the social workers, the judge, the room in there, so they're not going to fight for your case. So, I'm not saying don't use them, but it may be the best that you have. Make them work for their nickel. Make sure that they represent you. They'll tell you they can't talk to you outside of the courtroom. They'll come out and talk to you in the hallway for 5 minutes, but you really need them a lot to talk about your case. I had a court appointed attorney. It was a waste of time. She did nothing for my case, made my case worse. That's the hard, sad part about it. Now, rule number two I have is that you should have a way of organizing your paperwork. You need to have a notebook 8.5 by 11, 3 inches thick, a 3 ring binder. Stuff it full of college rule notebook paper and subject tabs, and maybe 20 subject tabs, and divide them up. Like one of the most important areas is your timeline or your incident log. That is where you list everything that's happened to your CPS case, whether it be with the police, the child protection system, or the school, or your children, or other adults. You want to log in all the incidents. You do the date, the time, the location, and the people involved on the first line. The next line, you want to sum up what the incident's about in one sentence. And then the next line, you want to put the results of the outcome of the incident. If you don't have it, leave it blank and come back later because you'll have it later. And then you do this and skip a couple lines. You do that for each incident. And you will find it very useful 6 months, a year from now because you won't remember everything. And it's important to help out your attorney and yourself. So do that organized notebook. Use highlighters to highlight things so you can see them really accessible. Now, rule number 3 is a real important one because that's where you try not to answer the door. I know some of you may want to answer the door, but you got to be careful because a lot of people have been killed answering the door. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. The dog was barking loud.
Yeah. So, you might be able to get by with one day not answering the door, but you can't keep stopping that. You'll want to be recognized because they usually leave a card or a note to call them, whoever stopped by. If they don't leave anything, they could be then somebody that wants to cause trouble. Now, to get in your home, there are 3 ways. One, they have to get your permission to open that door. Two, they will come in if there's domestic violence going on. If there's trouble and the child's present, if you're arguing is a no-no. You do not argue in front of your kids, and you do not, since you slap or hurt your kids or fight with your kids or use weapons, they will break in the home to save the child. 3 is if they have a court order, they can get in their room, get in the house. They have to have a court order, and it has to be a bona fide court warrant, and it's got to be very carefully on regular paper, not copy paper, not PDF, not a notebook computer or something like that. It's got to be a bona fide paper with a wet signature, and the signature is embossed by the clerk, meaning that she takes a hand stamp and raises the signature so you can't forge it. Also, it's got to have the name of the individuals that are being charged with and the children's names. The allegations are listed, and then also the location, the place, and the date and time they can do the investigation, and then the list of what things they can do. Can they inspect it? Can they talk to you? Can they take your children? They can't take your children unless they have a court order that says that they can. So that's rule number 3. Also, don't forget medical trafficking. It seems a lot of times parents are losing kids because the police will show up as an intimidation factor to the social service and demand your child. And it's really hard because I've seen videos recently of a gentleman named Jason and Brandy who had their child taken from the hospital. Um, and it's sad because they don't stop. You can ask them nicely, please do not come, please leave. Do you have a court order? And if they want to keep ruffling your feathers, the police will do so. You are powerless against the corrupt police or social workers. They'll do what they want. So don't be forced into a situation of confrontation or being arrested. Go with the flow and keep track of everything, document everything, and you need to get that rule number 1 to get that attorney. Also, if you're having a baby, the same thing can happen there. So watch out the birthing of your baby. Rule number 4 is where you do a research about the CPS in your city, in your state or county. You want to learn all you can about them, about their judges, how they take children, how you get your children back. You ask all these questions, put in the city. If you live in a small city, like say Athens, Georgia, put Atlanta, Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, Athens and Atlanta, Georgia. Then put the acronym CPS and then put whatever question after that. You'll find a lot of answers. Spend at least 60 hours researching. And then rule number 5 is the one that Faye came up with. And that's where Faye says to have all your important documents regarding your children, their health records, their shot cards, their birth certificate, their social security cards. You can put copies of your birth certificate, your driver's license, your marriage certificate. It's a document folder. everything that's important on there, especially if it's something regarding mental health. You want to have those reports in there and have it accessible with you so you have those documents because they will try to steal your child and say you don't have documents. So those are my 5 rules. I've run out of time. It's now uh, 11 o'clock. I want to thank Faye for sticking in there, and I want to thank all you listeners that came in. I may not have seen you, but I want to thank all my listeners. And if you left any emojis, thank you. And hopefully we can clear up the room situation here. I'll be on again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope that you all will join me tonight and we can talk further. I was hoping to hear back from Jason out there too. All right. Well, God bless you all. And thank you for uh, hanging in there, and please keep fighting for your children. Don't give up. Do not give up. Keep trying. I know you love your children. God bless you.